Have you ever felt like your world is falling apart because someone decided to distance themselves from your life? Have you found yourself trapped in a cycle of pain, waiting for answers that never come, clinging to memories that only deepen the wound? These moments of emotional darkness are tough, but they can be overcome with Stoic philosophy. Stoicism is not about repressing emotions, but understanding them, recognizing what is under our control and what is not. This ancient philosophy offers a way to deal with suffering and take control of your emotional life. Why do we suffer so much for others? A large part of our suffering does not come from what others do to us, but from the way we interpret their actions. When someone rejects or disappoints us, the pain we feel is not only from the action itself, but from the meaning we attach to it. Thoughts like, "I'm not enough," or "I was replaced by someone better," are the roots of this suffering. Stoicism teaches us that it's not what happens to us that harms us, but our opinions about what happens, as Epictetus said. Suffering is not caused by the absence of a person, but by the belief that we cannot be happy without them. This idea that our happiness depends on someone else is an illusion that creates unnecessary suffering. When we realize that we are responsible for our own happiness, we are able to stop suffering from someone's absence. Psychological suffering is often a reflection of the emotional attachment we develop. Attachment is one of the main causes of human pain. We hold on to unrealistic expectations about how things should be, and when reality strays from those expectations, pain arises. This is where Stoic philosophy comes in. It teaches us to free ourselves from these attachments and accept things as they are. The Stoic does not deny emotions, but learns to manage them in a healthier way. If you're ready to start taking control of your emotional life and stop suffering from others' behavior, don't forget to give this video a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear these words and subscribe to the channel for more tips on how to find inner peace and emotional freedom. We're in this growth journey together. What is under our control? The key to Stoicism is understanding that we have control over our thoughts, decisions, and reactions, but not over the behavior or choices of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over external events." Often, we cling to expectations of how others should act, which causes unnecessary suffering. By learning to separate what we can control from what we cannot, we find new emotional freedom. Suffering decreases when we accept reality as it is, without fighting against it. This does not mean we cannot feel pain, but rather that we learn to deal with it in a more balanced way.
By focusing on what is within our reach, our attitudes, thoughts, and actions, we can cultivate a more resilient mindset. External circumstances do not have the power to take our inner peace unless we decide they do. What others think or do should not have power over our emotional balance. Learning to keep our minds focused on what we can control allows us to live with more serenity.
Practical Stoic tools. Stoicism is not just a philosophy for reflection, but a practical tool for transforming our life. Here are 4 Stoic exercises to stop suffering for someone. 1. The Dichotomy of Control. Make a list dividing what you can and cannot control. On the left, put everything related to the other person, their actions, words, feelings. On the right, write what you can control, how you respond, what you think, how you take care of yourself. Remember to focus your energy on what is under your control. Whenever you feel lost in thoughts about what you can't change, review the list. This will help redirect your mind to productive actions within your reach. 2. Premeditation of Evil. Premeditatio malorum. This exercise involves imagining the worst possible scenario. not to suffer it beforehand, but to be emotionally prepared. Ask yourself, what if this person never comes back? Breathe deeply and remember, you will be fine regardless of what happens. This exercise prepares your mind to deal with adversity without being consumed by it. When you stop fearing the worst, you release anxiety and start acting with more clarity. 3. Returning to the present. The mind that suffers tends to live in the past or future, but the power to act is in the present. As Seneca said, man suffers more by imagination than by reality. By returning to the present moment, through activities like walking, meditating, or exercising, you begin to heal and find peace. The practice of mindfulness teaches us to focus our attention on here and now, where healing truly happens. This focus on the present prevents our minds from getting lost in cycles of suffering. 4th, Memento Mori. Remember that life is finite. One day we will all be gone, and the suffering you carry will be forgotten. This thought, far from being dark, brings freedom. When you remember that time is limited, you stop losing yourself in past pains and begin to live with more purpose. Understanding life's finiteness forces us to value every moment without clinging to something or someone that is no longer part of our journey. Loving without attachment. One of the great lessons of Stoicism is learning to love without attachment. Dependent love causes suffering because we believe the other person's presence is essential to our happiness. However, true love, as Stoicism teaches, is valuing the other without the need to possess them. Marcus Aurelius stated, "Love others as if you were to lose them." Love without attachment allows us to love deeply, but without making it the center of our life, without fearing its absence. Loving without attachment is being able to say, "I choose you, but I don't need you to be happy." This free love is one of the keys to true emotional freedom. When we do not depend on someone for our happiness, we can enjoy relationships in a healthier and more balanced way. Love becomes a choice, not a need. This frees us from the chains of emotional codependency and allows us to live in a more authentic and fulfilled way. Rebuilding emotionally after loss. Letting go is not the end, but the beginning of an internal rebuilding process. When we go through a loss or disappointment, our identity seems broken, but in reality, we are being dismantled for a new beginning. The Stoics believed that the purpose of life is not to seek comfort, but to form character. Every suffering is an opportunity to develop temperance, self-discipline, and clarity. Instead of staying stuck in suffering, use it as strength to grow and transform. 1. Reframe your story. You are not a victim, you are a learner. Every experience, no matter how painful, is raw material for your growth. It is not about what happened, but what you do with it. The Stoic understands that life is full of challenges, but that each one offers an opportunity for personal evolution. 2. Cultivate your character. The true goal of life is inner strength. Exercise, read, learn, and meditate. Become someone who does not depend on others to find their value, someone who has the strength to rise alone. Stoicism teaches that by focusing on the development of virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we become more resilient. 3. Elevate your mind. Engage in things that nurture your soul. Suffering decreases when you fill your life with purpose, something greater than any person or relationship. Seek activities that inspire growth and connect you to something greater than temporary pain. 4. Surround yourself with wisdom. Company doesn't just come from people, but also from books and thoughts that inspire you. When you surround yourself with wisdom, suffering has no power over you. The Stoics sought advice from great thinkers and philosophers to remain strong during adversity. Stoic emotional freedom and personal rebirth. The decisive moment when pain no longer dominates is when you begin to understand that you don't need things to happen as you imagined in order to be at peace. When you realize that someone else's love does not define your worth, and that someone leaving is not the end, but a change of direction, your emotional freedom begins to blossom. Stoicism does not seek to avoid pain, but to go through it with strength, clarity, and an open mind. It teaches you to be unbreakable, not to allow the past or those who left to have power over you. Conclusion: the power of transformation. Stoicism does not promise a life without pain, but a life where suffering does not dominate you. It teaches you to live well, not because everything is fine, but because you are fine with yourself. By choosing to free yourself from suffering imposed by others, you discover your own peace and strength. Remember, pain is not the end. It is the beginning of your best version. And in the end, you will be stronger, wiser, and freer to move forward, not just survive. Now that you know the principles of Stoicism and how to apply them to turn your suffering into strength, share this video with friends or family who also need this message. Give a like if you felt this content made a difference for you, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more valuable tips on how to live a fuller, calmer life. Remember, true freedom starts within you.